We've been speaking about numbers, whether they are credible or not. I specifically want to speak to you about fiscal deficit because that was really the big concern on the street. He's reined that in at 5.2 for this fiscal and projects 4.8 for next fiscal. Many people believe he will perhaps be able to achieve it, and Swami also is very bullish on that. Do you think, A, that's achievable, and is India then on the path to a very low fiscal deficit thereafter?
The budget papers project nominal GDP growth next year of 13.4%.
Yes,
I can hear you. Real GDP growth at roughly 6.5%, this is implying an inflation rate as high as 7%. Now, you know, with fiscal consolidation, inflation really should be coming down. With that, this nominal growth of GDP should be nowhere near 13.4, should be closer to 10, I would have thought. I'm trying to understand this because, you know, if this particular thing is of 13.4 is exaggerated, equally it would then appear all the tax projections based on this would also be exaggerated.
Okay, I still think there is a glitch with that line with Mr. Mayaram. I still don't think he can hear us. Mr. Mayaram, if you can hear us, you nod out there. I'm going to come back to you for a question. But Swami...
Can I ask Uday?
Yes, sure. Uday Kotak, Swaminathan Aiyar has a question for you here.
Uday, I would like to ask you, has the market satisfied itself on this question of what is going to happen to the Mauritius route? I know the finance minister was asked at his press conference on this Mauritius issue of are we having a situation where guys are going to fall into the tax net? And he talked at length about things like royalty and dividend and interest. He did not mention the word capital gains, whereas I would have thought the entire focus of the foreign investors should be what is going to happen to capital gains. If you have to prove that both you are a beneficiary and a tax resident, then perhaps guys who are holding PNs, participatory notes, that even if they are going through a tax resident in Mauritius, they may not, you know, the direct beneficiary may not be in Mauritius. So I think the fear was that the way it's being interpreted, capital gains may suddenly be subjected to tax. I thought this was a big fear. Since you are a market man, have you gone into this? Are you satisfied with the finance minister's statement? Do you believe that there is going to be no capital gains tax on PNs and other fellows using the Mauritius route?
Swami, the sense I got from the finance minister's talk, and this is again what I've picked up, is that it refers to beneficial interest, and his focus more was on round tripping, which is Indian money going to Mauritius and coming back, where the ultimate beneficial interest is of an Indian resident. And I would like to believe that with the clarification on beneficial interest, if it is coming from countries outside Mauritius rather than from India, there should not be a problem. But that's the sense I have got in terms of his clarification.
But if I may stick with you there, the fact, I mean, you're saying it doesn't matter if it's just the Indians. To me, if the totality of the money that was coming in is seriously affected, and that same Indian who had managed to keep his money abroad just pulls the money out of India to put it in Singapore or somewhere else, surely you do get a very substantial outflow of money which was earlier coming in, believing there would be no capital gains tax. I mean, therefore, will there not be an actual impact on the total flows?
Swami, if the beneficial interest is of a foreigner, whether it's anywhere in the world, as long as it is a foreigner, and the beneficial owner behind that is not an Indian resident, then I think the sense I got is things should be okay. And obviously if it is an Indian's money overseas, then the government of the day cannot accept it as legitimate.
Mr. Mayaram, are you on? Can we talk now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Mayaram.
Yes, I can.
Let's finally get this question through to you. The budget papers make a projection of nominal GDP growth of 13.4% next year. Since real GDP growth we are hoping will be around 6.5%. This implies an inflation rate as high as 7%. Now that to my mind is disastrously high. I thought this fiscal consolidation, everything else, is supposed to be bringing inflation below the latest wholesale price level of 6.6%. It shouldn't be going in the opposite direction. So why do we have this somewhat alarming figure of 13.4% for nominal GDP growth. If I am wrong about the 7% inflation, suppose it's only 4%, in that case the nominal GDP growth should be only about 10.5%. On 10.5%, then your revenue projections truly begin to look very optimistic. So please just clarify, what are your assumptions on inflation?
See, the formula by which you arrive at the nominal GDP growth is a little more complex than what you have looked at now. Basically, we are looking at 6.5%. That would be the kind of level of inflation that you're looking at, and 6.5% is the growth. There is a more complex formula which I will not get into now, because there is a calculation which is done to arrive at that, and then you discount a bit of some numbers on there. But what we are basically saying is that if you are looking at 6.5%, that is going to be the growth, and around 6.5% will be the inflation. That is the number that you would get, this 13.4 or so. Now the important thing here is, the worrisome part is that whatever is stated as a number, there is always a credibility issue. So if we keep the number very low, then you question us why it is very low. If we are keeping the number a little more conservative, you are also still questioning us why we are keeping it at a higher level. Now, we are very clear on one part, which is the growth is going to be somewhere between 6.1 and 6.7, as you have seen, and the finance minister has also said the same. The economic survey also says the same. We are hoping it will be closer to 6.7, but anywhere in between that, depending upon large number of circumstances, we are going to be getting the growth. But inflation is moderating, and therefore we expect inflation to come to around 6. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can, Mr. Mayaram. Continue.
Sound is gone again, I think.
Okay, we'll try and get that back in. But Uday, I want to come back.
I lost the sound somewhere there.
Sure, we'll try and get that link back, going back again. But Uday, I want to come to you again. The point that Swami was starting with you about the whole fear of this tax treaty clarification that's come in. So in a sense, would you say that the market reaction today was largely knee-jerk, and once a clarification comes in from the finance ministry, it will be business as usual for our equity markets? And what is the clarification that the market is seeking from the government?
I think the market had nervousness on 2 points. One was on this FII business, and the second was that the government borrowing program, the gross borrowing program, came at 6,29,000 crores, which had a net buyback of 50,000 crores. But market got a little nervous about the gross number. The market was expecting the gross borrowing number more like around 6 lakh crores. So the last 30,000 crores made the market a little worried about bond yields, as a result of which, since government securities yields moved up, there was some pressure on banks, which had the biggest loss on the index of close to 4%, while the overall index lost about 2%. And the primary driver there was worry about yield increases because of gross government borrowing program. I think if the government is able to clarify the situation, and it has done some of it this evening in terms of clarity on the FII side, as well as the implications of the gross and the net borrowing program, that will help the markets stabilize tomorrow. That is my view.
I'm actually just waiting for Arvind Mayaram's audio line to come back up, and I think that's the question we want to put forward to him. Who better than him to explain what is this whole deal really on? Is capital gains exempted, and why is nobody really talking about it? I'm waiting for Mr. Mayaram's line to come back, but let's just take this question to KV Kamath, because the big picture is that it is a bullish budget. Swami is happy with it. But Mr. Kamath, do you believe this budget makes a case and gives RBI enough elbow room to go ahead there and cut rates aggressively?
See, what this budget does is, I think, clearly articulates we need to attack A, the fiscal deficit, and B, the current account deficit. And it is through this route, then you give comfort to the monetary policy authorities that they can take the next step in terms of expecting lower inflation. And if inflation is expected to be lower, you then have the conviction to actually lower interest rates. A. B, the fact that you peg the deficit at a lower number, the market itself, starts working on a lower interest rate expectation. So I would expect interest rates to move down.
Okay, from investment, let's talk about consumption as well. Mr. Deveshwar, there's been a fair amount of concern surrounding India's consumption story, and many believe that the government should have probably not taxed the consumption story. You pay higher tax, restaurants pay higher service tax, mobile phones you need to pay higher tax, diesel cars are being taxed at a higher rate as well. Do you think that's a bit of a dampener, or do you think that's not going to hurt the consumption story?
No, basically he has not, the indirect taxes, there has been no change in the rate of taxation. As a matter of fact, the pre-crisis period, the indirect taxes were higher than what he has left them at 12%. So he's been very selective in taxing those elements that needed to be taxed.
All right, gentlemen, stay with us. We need to slip into a short break here on The Verdict with Swami. But on the other side, more clarification from the Finance Ministry. We've got Uday Kotak, KV Kamath, YC Deveshwar, and of course, Swaminathan Aiyar debating the big budget. Back in a moment with lots more on ET Now.